Well, a warm welcome to this talk. Now, Mr. Andrew Bridgen, Member of Parliament in the United Kingdom, has secured a debate tomorrow about excess deaths. And we were lucky enough to be able to secure an interview with Mr. Bridgen just in the last hour. And here is that interview. Thank you for watching. Well, a warm welcome to this talk. Today it's Thursday, the 19th of October, and I'm delighted to welcome Mr. Andrew Bridgen, Member of Parliament. Andrew, thank you for coming back.
It's a pleasure, John.
Now, we mentioned it's the 19th of October today. Something's happening on the 20th of October tomorrow. Very important. Please fill us in, Andrew.
Well, tomorrow is a sitting day. We don't normally sit on a Friday, but it's private members' bills. And I'm actually pleased to say that Christopher Chope, Conservative MP for Christchurch, he's secured a large number of private members' bills. So it's basically his day. And several of them are around the issue of vaccine harms and compensation. And I'm hoping to be able to take part in those debates as well and give Chris a lot of support. But I have managed to secure, after 9 months of petitioning and more than 20 refusals, the adjournment debate. So at around 2:30 tomorrow afternoon, I'll be on my feet. And for the first time in the UK Parliament, and I think the first time in the world, we're going to have a debate. It's only going to be for 30 minutes. On excess deaths. And I can share with you, John, that there will be more colleagues from the House in that chamber, and a lot of that is down to your efforts and your viewers and your subscribers who've petitioned MPs across the country. I would think that's the issue has been number one, quite rightly, in their inbox this week. Are you attending the excess deaths debate on Friday? And a number of them will be.
Yeah, you mentioned a vaccine there. Well, which vaccine were you talking about?
We're talking about the experimental mRNA COVID-19 vaccines and also AstraZeneca, which I don't know if you've heard about it, but there is a bit of concern about the safety and efficacy of them.
Oh, right. Okay. So it's good to know that's being discussed. I'm delighted that you and Sir Christopher Chope have got that. But surely this can't be a one-off debate. This must be a series of debates because it's such an important topic.
Well, I will be asking all those members who attend and those who have shown any interest but couldn't attend tomorrow's debate that we petition the House for a much longer debate. And we could easily get a 3-hour backbench debate pretty quickly, I'd have thought, within a couple of weeks, if there's the will to do so. And I'm hoping after I've laid out the facts, it will be a fairly long speech. I think I'll be speaking for over 20 minutes of the 30 minutes, leaving the Minister 10 minutes to respond. But since that will be a pre-scripted response that probably won't answer any of my questions that I pose in the chamber, I think that will be enough. But the answer is to get the support of colleagues, and that will come again through the lobbying and support of their constituents who see this as an important matter. And I'm also fairly confident, although the attendance in the chamber might be not what I'd like, I think the public gallery is going to be full, John, and that's a testament to what this means to the people. And I do realise, although I'm a very experienced politician, that this is the most important speech I've probably ever given in my life, and I do feel the weight of responsibility.
Indeed. Now, of course, we expected excess deaths in 2020 during the pandemic, but then they persisted in 2021, 2022. And the last time I looked at the OEC data, it was 36,000 excess deaths in the UK for the first 30 weeks of the year. This has been going on for 2021, 2022, first 2.5 years now. Why is this the first parliamentary debate on the matter? Surely this should be the top of the government's agenda.
Well, obviously, clearly, perhaps you and I have concerns that the excess deaths that we've seen since the pandemic, when we should have had, historically, you'd have expected a period of less than excess deaths, since, sadly, those who've passed can't die again. I think there's so much political capital by all the major political parties around the world that they do not want to even consider. They might not have given good advice to people during the pandemic, whether that's about the lockdowns or the safety and efficacy of the vaccines. And especially since we've almost certainly got a general election in the next 12 months, the amount of political capital invested in this by all the major parties, they just don't want to talk about it. And not only that, my colleagues, a lot of them across the chamber, every time I raise something which they don't want to talk about, clearly the public are interested, their own constituents then contact them and email them and talk to them about it, and they tend to think that they'd be rather better off if I wasn't in Parliament asking these questions, because then they wouldn't get such be forced to debate such issues with their own constituents.
What I think you're doing, Andrew, is I think you are representing those who can't speak for themselves. This is what our politicians should be doing, that they should be representing the weak. And of course, people that have already died, sadly, can't speak for themselves. And you're giving a voice to those that have died during this tragic past few years. And I mean, I want to say thank you. And I know that, I don't want to exaggerate, tens of thousands of families around the country.
Well, since I
appreciate it.
Since I first spoke out, which is sort of last December, I mean, John, I've had hundreds of thousands of emails from the vaccine harmed and the vaccine bereaved, not only from the UK but from all around the world. And I would like to say that my parliamentary staff have worked really hard, and they've responded to every single one.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned there might be a few MPs there. We've been disappointed in the past. We've noted that House has been quite busy for some issues like, discussing members' pay, for example, and essentially empty when you were discussing things of massive concern. I mean, realistically, how many people can we expect to turn up? Given that, I'm pretty convinced from the publicity that we've been able to get from this channel, I'd be surprised if there wasn't one elected member in the country who has not been emailed.
Asking people to attend, MPs to attend this debate on Friday has been the number one issue in most of their inboxes all week. I would say there's been tens of thousands of emails have come. A large number of people have actually emailed me with the response from their own MP, which has been fairly enlightening. What I would say is that although there are some who maintain the best thing since sliced bread has been the rollout of the experimental vaccines, other colleagues are certainly moving their position, and they are actually now, even in writing, willing to question whether there may be something wrong with the vaccines. That is clear movement, and I don't get so many people saying they're safe and effective anymore to me.
And we can't speculate, of course, on market fluctuations, but it looks like the financial markets are...
Well, it wouldn't be hard to be ahead of our Parliament on the vaccines, to quite honestly, John. But I mean, the same happened when I exposed the modern slavery in 2019 in Leicester. There was a full investigation. But I mean, the company who was at the centre of it, I think their share price was £4.50 when I made my allegations. I think it's around 60p today.
And that's another topic we've covered on the channel, which is, of course, of just immeasurable concern to anyone who claims to have any care for humanity at all. Now, has there been mass academic interest around the country about the topic of excess death?
I've been having some great support from Dr. Claire Craig and Professor Norman Fenton, good friends of your channel, who've also helped me immeasurably with all the statistics, and also the press pack that will be going out when I sit down. Every mainstream media, press, TV channel, newspaper will get a full evidence press pack of all the data that supports the assertions I've made. I know that if I get anything wrong, they'll only want to concentrate on that one item, so I have to make sure I get everything right in this speech, or I'll get shot to pieces. And the support of those eminent scientists and doctors is immeasurable. But I've also been approached by someone who claims that they've got a petition signed by, I think, 16,000 doctors and scientists supporting me, and I'm hoping that I can present that as a petition in Parliament next week, which will be another opportunity to highlight this important issue.
So presumably these famous professors and doctors that you mentioned are being paid by the government as official government advisors?
No, these are all independent. Of course, the moment you put your head above the parapet, as we know, you're shot at and cancelled. So, I mean, I think that is one of the major indicators that all those who are speaking out are doing it for no financial reward. In fact, there's a huge deficit for them. Professor Norman Fenton has lost his position at St Mary's University. He was forced into retirement. These are the people we want running our education and medical institutions, not necessarily the ones we've got now, I'm afraid.
You know, what moves me about this, Andrew, is the best people are doing this for nothing.
For less than nothing. It's costing big time.
Harm to themselves,
We saw those the best that Pfizer could put up in Australia to answer questions from their parliament. I mean, goodness me, if they were the best they could put up, I mean, what were the other ones like?
I was really bemused by that. I was expecting, shall we say, a more considered response.
Say if they were the best they'd got, I shudder to think what the ones they rejected for performing those tasks for them. They didn't seem to have a lot of empathy in them, did they?
I don't remember detecting a lot of empathy, no. But of course, it's hard to tell on a video. I mean, I'm sure face to face they'd be very empathetic individuals. Now, you've got this support from these esteemed academics and doctors. Presumably, you have the full resources of the British Civil Service at your disposal as well.
Well, I have I have my own parliamentary staff, but I do have the services of the impartial Library of the House of Commons. They're very good. I mean, they are impartial, and they will research and get you any paper from anywhere as fast as they possibly can. And they'll also do research for you. And if you want official figures, they will verify them for you. So that's also a very good resource for all MPs. So tomorrow's a really big day. The biggest day, I think, since I've been in Parliament. But I've also got a big day next Tuesday because I've secured a 10-minute rule motion where I will try to ask the House's permission to bring in a bill which would prevent the government from giving away our powers and sovereignty to the WHO. We'll see how the House responds to that, but I won't be holding back on Tuesday about the risks to our democracy and the relationship between the citizen and the state.
Of course, they were talking about the new international health regulations.
Again, I've been working with Philip Cruiser for quite a long time. He's a great resource for keeping up to date. And there's actually a new version of the treaty has just been sent to me this morning, and it's apparently it's now called the Post-Pandemic Agreement. Well, John, I haven't agreed to it, neither of my constituents, quite honestly.
I don't remember voting in a referendum unless I missed it.
I don't remember it being in anybody's manifesto that we have to support this either.
I don't remember my member of parliament being given the opportunity to vote on it on my behalf.
Well, I'm not sure that the government will actually want to allow Parliament to even have a vote on the amendments to the international health regulations. And given that they're so sweeping, they're not amendments. I mean, this is a fundamental change in the nature of the treaty. They certainly should be. And
I don't get that. There's a threat to sovereignty. I don't get it.
And also it's happening all over the world. I'm also been introduced. I'm hopefully next week going to be in a Zoom with some African political leaders because we need to stop this. This is affecting not just our democracy in Europe and North America, but the whole of the world potentially. And if I can persuade some of those African leaders to resist, that's going to help all of us.
Absolutely. The idea that this is just being done completely below the radar, some might say surreptitiously or deviously. I don't know what language might be.
Well, we've got over 100,000 signatures for the petition to have a debate, and it doesn't matter how many times I ask the leader of the House or the Petitions Committee, there is no date for that debate, and we should be having it. It's no good having it in June when we become subject to the regulations in May, is it?
I mean, this was Tess Lawrie started this, and myself, yourself and others promoted this, and we're way over the 100,000. This is a fundamental principle of British democracy. Over 100,000 signatures, parliamentary debate, not in sight. What is going on here?
Well, it's clearly there are a number of issues that our Parliament doesn't want to talk about, and mysteriously no other Parliament wants to talk about. I mean, you're well aware that they did have a petition in the upper house of the Australian Parliament, their Senate. A number of senators rightly asked for a debate on excess deaths, and instead they had a debate on whether they should have a debate on excess deaths. and the consensus of the senators was that they shouldn't have a debate on excess deaths. And I would have thought in the time they had a debate over whether they should have a debate, they could have actually had the debate. But I mean, that's the state of democracy, and that's in Australia. So something's going on. It would appear that our democracies have been usurped, and they're certainly not working in the public's interest. So I think we need to remind them who they serve, and it's the public.
A debate about a debate. It's just like something out of, people in the States won't know, but there was a show in the UK called Yes Minister, and they would say, "Shall we have a leak inquiry?" They say, "Oh no, I want to find out what happened." These things are just a way of kicking it into the long grass. It's just incredible. Andrew, I know you're a busy man, one of the busiest in the country. Thank you for what you're doing. Why are you in? Aren't you in Parliament at the moment?
Yes, I am. This is my new office.
Well, show us the view out the window then.
I can't. They moved me from an office I'd been in for 11 and a half years into this office, which is the furthest office from the chamber. It's in Richmond House, which used to be the Department of Health, and they boarded the window up in my office. So I feel absolutely gutted for my staff because they don't get any natural daylight. It's unhealthy. And also, although I've been an MP for 13 and a half years, I'm surrounded by MPs who've been here for 4 years, and their offices might be 3 times bigger than mine. It's when you're on the naughty step, you're on the naughty step. But I do feel sorry for my staff having to work in these conditions.
So you moved from a really nice office in the parliamentary building to some.
Well, what's a room called without a window? That's called
cell. I would call it a cell, Andrew.
Never mind.
It really is incredible. And there's other bizarre coincidences that interfere with your functionality that we could mention, but coincidences happen. We all know this, don't we?
All the time, don't they?
Yeah. Andrew, for tomorrow, country's. I think the country's with you. I really feel.
I hope so.
There's mass groundswell of interest in this.
I hope so, and I hope at the end of the debate, and for those colleagues who don't attend, I will be sending them a copy of the Hansard report. Yeah. I hope that there'll be a lot of colleagues on board with me and the people after the debate. That's the whole point. Yeah. Thank you, John. Thank you for your support.
As far as I can speak for those who can't speak for themselves, Andrew, thank you.
Thank you too. Keep up the faith.
Always.